Joining me is Russell Smart, chairman of the National Scouting Museum Task Force, a portion of the Philmont Ranch Committee. And today, Russell, we're going to give a shout out, if you will, to Scoutmasters. And we've got a display here, something that's kind of unique and kind of cool. Why don't you tell us about what's in this display?
Well, as a former Scoutmaster, 2 different terms for a total of 12 years, I appreciate the shout out, Harold. Thank you very much.
No problem.
It's the greatest job in scouting, I think, bar none. But Scoutmasters have always been an important part. In fact, the very notion of having a scout leader was created by our founder, Lord Robert Baden-Powell, when he first sent out a request around the nation of England for men to step forward to be scout officers, as they were originally called, and that evolved into the term Scoutmaster. So Scoutmasters, yes, important part of scouting. Scoutmasters have always had a handbook, and we've got one shown here, Harold.
That we absolutely do. What's special about this particular Scout handbook?
Well, this particular one was published during the 50s. In July 1959 was when it was first issued, right about our 50th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America. And the cover of this one is the iconic Norman Rockwell picture entitled, believe it or not, The Scoutmaster. And most everyone who knows any Norman Rockwell images is familiar with this one of the Scoutmaster, and so that graces the cover. The content was written by an equally famous early figure in scouting, William Bill Hillcourt, the Scoutmaster of the world. Friend of Baden-Powell, Lady Baden-Powell, James West. Bill Hillcourt came to us from Europe early in his life and stayed, and became an American citizen, and ultimately became the Scoutmaster of the world. Green Bar Bill, that was the nickname that he went by. He wrote information both for Scoutmasters, but also for the youth leaders, patrol leaders, senior patrol leaders of troops.
Now on display here, along with the book, we also have 3 patches. What's significant about these 3 patches?
Well, interestingly, we had 3 different varieties of the Scoutmaster patch, the uniform patch, sleeve patch, during the time that this handbook was in being used in the 50s and 60s. And so we have the 3 different examples. They're all green with a whitish or silverish highlights to them, compared to the Assistant Scoutmaster, which is yellow or gold. As you know, silver is always the higher level of rank or office in scouting, compared to the Olympic model where gold is the highest. But with scouting, it's silver. And so we have the 3 different examples. One has a cut edge, one has a rolled edge, and then one actually has the title of Scoutmaster added to it. Prior to that, you just knew what it was by the color and the highlight that was on it.
And going back to this particular Scoutmaster's handbook, this particular one bears the signature of somebody kind of important. And what was that all about?
I think so. Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was our one and only President of the United States who actually earned the rank of Eagle Scout. 1927, Gerald Ford became an Eagle Scout, and then later became president. And he has another distinction, Harold, that you know, and what's that?
The only individual who was never elected to president or vice president.
That's right, but he served well. And Gerald Ford, I'm told, so we'll believe this story is true, that Gerald Ford kept his Eagle Scout medal in his desk in the Oval Office, and he told folks that oftentimes when he had a tough decision to make, that he would take that Scout Eagle medal out, take a look at it, remind himself of the values and ideals that he had learned as an Eagle Scout, and he would put that into practice in making those presidential decisions.
I actually had a personal connection to President Ford during his time in office. When I was a young Cub Scout, first getting started in Seoul, South Korea, President Ford came to visit, and he was the first American president to visit the country after the Korean War. And so I stood on the side of the road in just an incredibly freezing day in Seoul and got to see the president pass by. Later, as part of the stamp collecting merit badge, when I was a little bit older, I sent the commemorative stamps that the Republic of Korea had produced for that to the White House and got 2 sets of them back autographed with a very nice letter from President Ford. So that was
cool.
kind of a cool little connection to him as well.
Well, President Ford, I think, was always, he never lost that affinity and connection that he had of scouting, just like you and me.
Yep.
We're lifelong scouts. It's become a part of us, and I think that was true even with President Ford.
All I can say is that the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, and the Scout Motto contributed very significantly to everything I've done during my lifetime. And then when I was fortunate enough to become Vice President and subsequently President, I can tell you without any reservation or hesitation, the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, the Scout Motto was a very, very integral part of my thoughts, my conviction, my dedication. I like to reminisce about the scouting experiences because there's something that makes you feel good about having been a Boy Scout, having been the beneficiaries of the things that Scouties can do for you.
If I remember correctly, one of his stipulations was that when he passed away, which of course he did some years ago, that the honor guard for him would be members of the Boy Scouts of America.
And I remember watching some of that procession on television. It was amazing to see all those scouts line the roads and line the streets as his body was passing in review.
So who knows, Harold? Let's hope that he's not the last Eagle Scout president that the United States has.
I hope not. I hope there's somebody out there. I'm sure there is. We don't know who. We don't know when. But
and now it could be
a girl.
A girl.
It
as
absolutely
well.
could.
Isn't that great?
That is awesome.
Okay.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next time as we continue to discover more about the history of the National Scouting Museum and the Boy Scouts of America through our collection and Artifact of the Week.